In a forest called the Lost Woods, a sorcerer named Zagan resided in his castle. One day, a girl was attacked by another sorcerer, who cruelly tore off her dress and threatened to rip off her face next. Zagan intervened, defeating the attacker and leaving a gruesome scene that caused the girl to faint. Using his powers, Zagan restored the surroundings to their original state to prevent the girl from being traumatized when she woke up. Noticing the girl's cross, he reflected on the irony of saving her despite considering God his enemy. He decided to use his powers to drop her off in a new town, but something interfered with his magic. It was Barbatos, who teased him. Barbatos said the girl was a nice catch, but Zagan explained she was not a sacrifice and used his powers to send her somewhere else, and then excused himself. Barbatos kept following him and revealed that the archdemon Marcosius had died. Archdemons, which are 13, have the authority to command lower-ranked sorcerers. The one that lived the longest among them was now dead. Barbatos explained that there would be a huge auction in Marcosius' territory, including an archdemon's legacy. As they walked, Zagan talked about how he could buy the legacy for himself and knew Barbatos wanted to borrow money, which annoyed Barbatos since he was the one who told Zagan about it. Barbatos argued that he could help Zagan pick up some good-looking women, but Zagan declined, not interested. They found the guards looking tense. Barbatos explained that some people had been kidnapping young women for experiments, making Zagan wonder if they were trying to summon a demon. They reached an arena and saw celebrities: Chimaris the Black Blade, Gremory the Enchantress, and Valifor the Apparition. Barbatos explained that they were candidates to become the 13th archdemon now that Marcosius was dead, and that the remaining 12 archdemons were debating it. The merchandise being auctioned turned out to be an elf. This shocked Zagan. He bid a lot of money, shocking everyone. Zagan purchased the elf and fell in love with her immediately. When he got close, he grabbed the chain around her neck and asked what it was for. He was told it should be kept on to prevent her from running away. Back at the castle, Zagan did not know what to say to her. Every time he thought of something, it sounded lame. She surprised him by speaking and asking how she was going to be killed. He stopped her and explained that he was not planning to kill her, making her frown at the idea of facing something worse than death with no release, when she saw the punishment tools in the castle, which actually belonged to the previous owner. He introduced himself, and she did too, revealing her name was Nephelia, and asked to be called Nephi. She explained that she was a cursed child. When he wanted to know why, she pulled up her dress and reassured him she was a virgin, making him cover his eyes. As Zagan and Nephi walked upstairs, she stumbled and almost fell, but he caught her and held her hand. This incident made him blush. When he opened the door to a room, it turned out to be a torture room with a head remover. Nephi told him he could take her head off if he wanted, but he snapped and said that was not his plan. He used his power to destroy the torture tool, surprising her because she had never seen destructive magic. She walked to the balcony, admired the moon, and then asked to stay in that room. He agreed. Zagan spent the night admiring the beautiful elf as she slept peacefully. When she woke up, she greeted him, and he provided her with her morning meal. They sat together and ate breakfast. She was confused when she realized he was eating the same food as her, thinking that it was typically reserved for slaves. She suggested preparing something herself, which shocked him. When he asked if she could cook, she replied that she could try. Agreeing, Zagan told her they would go grocery shopping. In the forest, they encountered a merchant, but Zagan realized he used all his money to purchase Nephi. They continued walking until a noise caught their attention. The merchant was being attacked by robbers. This incident made Nephi upset. She sympathized with the victims, though Zagan seemed indifferent. However, seeing her shaken and frowning, he wondered if she had been captured similarly. Asking her to watch, he struck the robbers with thunder to draw their attention. Seeing an opportunity, the robbers attacked Zagan, who promised to protect Nephi. He disarmed one robber with a touch and pushed him away effortlessly. Another sorcerer arrived and threatened Zagan, casting a spell circle. but Zagan took control of it with his powers, rendering the sorcerer powerless. Witnessing this, the robbers fled in fear. Looking back at Nefi, Zagan noticed her shock, which made him wonder if he had done something wrong. The grateful merchants thanked him and offered to hire him as their bodyguard for the rest of the trip, paying him for his services, and he accepted. Curious, Nefi asked why he had rescued them, and Zagan explained it was to show her that she had nothing to fear under his protection, yet he struggled to express his intentions. Arriving at the market, Zagan told Nefi to choose what she needed. They entered a clothing shop where he asked the lady in charge to provide Nefi with a suitable outfit. The woman dressed the creature in a revealing outfit that embarrassed both Zagan and Nefi. The shop owner and Zagan argued until agreeing on a more appropriate and conservative outfit, and then him and Nefi left. The woman assured Nefi that Zagan cared for her. Zagan took Nefi to someone who might be able to remove the collar around her neck, surprising her. The man explained only a specific key could unlock it, and thanked Zagan for saving him and his daughter in the past. Over a meal, they discussed Zagan's determination to remove the collar, even if it meant Nefi might run away. Realizing he was in love with her because she reminded him of his past when he was poor and powerless, Nefi thanked him for the meal. As they ate, Nefi observed Zagan struggling with a fork and nervously fed him with her spoon. He returned the gesture and fed her with his fork. At a church, a girl who was previously saved by Zagan recalled the incident and thought of him. The church's father approached her, revealing Zagan is a sorcerer responsible for misfortune, shocking the girl. Despite this, she requested to pursue her mission. Zagan walked into the room and was impressed by how tidy it was and asked Nefi if she cleaned it all by herself. She informed him that she baked loaves of bread. She served him the food. Zagan invited her to join him at the table, but Nefi hesitated and declined because there was only one chair. He suggested she sit on his lap instead. Blushing, he quickly realized how forward that sounded. Nefi politely refused, saying she would not dare to be rude. Zagan insisted gently until she finally agreed. Both of them felt a bit shy, being so close. He fed Nefi and promised to bring another chair next time. In return, she fed him. In the castle, as Zagan read, Nefi asked him why he was always so focused on studying. He explained that it was sorcery and proceeded to show her symbols that held unique powers. He described how adding symbols could increase control over the magic to ensure that no other sorcerer could hijack it. Intrigued, Nefi asked if she could add something to the symbols. Zagan explained that sometimes it was possible, but it required creating a second circle inside the existing one. Their discussion deepened their understanding of sorcery. Zagan teased Nefi playfully, causing her cheeks to redden. She confessed that she enjoyed hearing him talk. Curious about his intentions, she asked what he planned to use his powers for, but quickly apologized, feeling she might have overstepped her boundaries. Zagan reassured her, explaining that his sorcery was primarily for survival. He opened up about his past, recounting how he had once been poor and had been captured by a sorcerer who intended to sacrifice him. He managed to save himself and learned sorcery to protect himself from similar hazards. The girl with ginger hair and her guards approached Zagan's castle, and he sensed their presence. He excused himself to go and confront them. Facing the girl, Zagan remembered their previous encounter. He unleashed his powers on them, but their armor was resilient. He targeted one guard, warning the others not to move. The girl questioned his treatment of the guard, asking if it was meant to dishonor them. Zagan clarified it was to instill fear in them, though she doubted his words. When the girl tried to launch an attack, Zagan refused to do the same, confusing her. She demanded to know why someone like him was involved with sorcery. They engaged in a test of strength, and she surprised him with her own powers, prompting Zagan to consider killing her. However, she whispered a plan to fake his defeat and injury by her blade, as it was the only way the church would no longer be after him. Before they could proceed, Nefi rushed out of the castle towards them in concern. A guard aimed an arrow at her, but Zagan shielded Nefi, injuring his hand in the process. Suddenly, the weather changed, and Nephi, enraged by Zagan's injury, unleashed her powers, punishing the guards and forcing them to retreat. Alone again, Nephi explained that what she used wasn't sorcery, but mysticism, revealing she had been cursed and rejected by her village due to being different. She confessed that during an attack on her village, she had given herself up to the enemy, and her people were captured, which made her happy, resulting in her realization that they were right about her. Zagan reassured Nephi that using her powers to survive was not a sin. He admired her resilience and strength, understanding the burden she carried. Nephi began to cry, and Zagan comforted her gently. Concerned about his wound, she asked about it. When Zagan, however, removed the bandage, he was surprised to find that it had healed. He realized it was because he had touched Nephi. Grateful, he thanked her and apologized, but she reassured him, saying not to worry because he was her master. Later, as Zagan sat on his throne, Nephi approached him and requested for him to sleep with her. This request made him nervous, and he turned his head away, unsure of what to say. Nephi clarified that there was only one bed in the castle, and sleeping in the chair wasn't a good idea. Zagan's thoughts were interrupted as she realized she meant for him to share the bed with her. Zagan declined, explaining that he should remain on guard in case of any trouble. Nephi knelt down and offered him her lap to sleep on, and opened her arms to him. He was at ease until he caught sight of the view in front of him, causing him to blush, then quickly look away. Zagan assured Nephi that he would help her control her powers and teach her how to use them for self-defense, and officially declared her to be his apprentice. She expressed her gratitude. Meanwhile, Barbatos and Zagan met to discuss the encounter with the ginger-haired girl. Nephi served Barbatos, which startled him because he assumed she would be dead by now. Barbatos questioned if Zagan had developed an attachment toward her, but Zagan simply acknowledged her dedication. Leaving the castle gates together, Nephi and Zagan began sorcery lessons, both finding joy in their growing companionship. Zagan felt proud of Nephi's progress. Their peaceful routine was interrupted, however, when a massive, two-headed bird delivered a letter from the archdemons. Curious, Zagan went to meet them at the location requested and learned their intentions. Zagan was informed there he had been chosen as the 13th archdemon to inherit the seat of Marcosius. He questioned why they selected him over other powerful sorcerers, and they revealed they were impressed by his strength as a child, when he had defeated a strong sorcerer at the age of 8. Zagan agreed to accept their offer on the condition they fulfill a request, which they agreed to. Returning to Nephi, Zagan shared the surprising news. He then brought the key out that could free her from the collar and released her, asking her to leave. This decision saddened Nephi deeply, feeling hurt that he had let her go. As she sat outside, Nephi was approached by an angelic knight. She immediately recognized her as the girl who had attacked Zagan. Nephi submitted to her fate, admitted that she knew she was going to be killed, and was ready for it. However, the girl reassured her that this was not her intention. Mrs. Manuela, the shop owner, saw the two of them standing together and, fearing for Nephi's safety, rushed to protect her. The onlookers encouraged Mrs. Manuela to defend Nephi, but Nephi calmed everyone down, explaining that the angelic knight had not harmed her. Puzzled, everyone listened as Nephi, the angelic knight, and Mrs. Manuela sat at a nearby restaurant. There, the knight and Nephi explained to Mrs. Manuela that they knew each other from a previous encounter. As they were served food, Nephi began to cry, recalling the time she had prepared meals for her master. Both women comforted her. Nephi shared her story and asked about archdemons. She realized there would be a conflict between the church and the archdemons and understood that Zagan had sent her away to protect her. Nephi defended her master, stating he was not interested in defeating those weaker than him, and the angelic knight agreed. Determined, Nephi stood up and declared she would return to Zagan. However, before she could do anything else, a mystifying voice appears out of nowhere. It's Barbatos, posing as Zagan, and he manages to kidnap both Nephi and Lady Chastile, who is the girl with red hair. Meanwhile, Zagan had defeated his enemies, the Cerulean Knights, who pleaded with him not to harm Lady Chastile, explaining that she had defended him and believed he was not behind the recent kidnappings. Mrs. Manuela rushed to Zagan and informed him that Chastile and Neffy had been kidnapped and needed rescuing. She also mentioned that Neffy had been on her way back to him before the incident. Zagan cast a circle spell and vowed to save Neffy, asking Mrs. Manuela if she wanted to join him, to which she agreed. Neffy awoke to find herself chained alongside Chastile. Barbatos approached them and Neffy recognized him. He asked if she had heard of Andras the Accursed, revealing that this sorcerer, whom Zagan had killed, was his original teacher. Barbatos confessed that he was behind the kidnapping to turn the church against Zagan, aspiring to become an archdemon himself. Neffy shattered his dreams by revealing that Zagan had already been chosen as the 13th archdemon, which enraged Barbatos. He dragged Neffy across the ground, declaring that the sacrifice ritual would render Zagan's status irrelevant. As Neffy fought back, Zagan appeared, cutting the confrontation short and coming to her rescue. Zagan confronted Barbatos, revealing his awareness of Barbatos' intentions from the start. He attacked Barbatos and liberated Neffy. Concerned for her well-being, Zagan checked on her, but she rushed into his arms, tears streaming down her face, affirming her support for him. Barbatos' sorcery attempt failed. Zagan confessed his role in the demise of Andras the Accursed and declared himself to be the new archdemon, the Sorcerer Slayer Zagan. With his own powers, Zagan overcame Barbatos, who surrendered and vowed never to approach Zagan's castle again. Intimidated by Zagan's final strike, the summoned circle activated. The earth trembled. Zagan urged everyone to flee for safety. A demon appeared, bowing before Zagan. Zagan demanded for the demon to depart, and it did. The cave began to collapse, and everyone escaped. Church guards arrived to rescue Lady Chastile. Neffy and Zagan were alone again. However, Neffy assured him of her desire to stay by his side. Zagan knelt before her, confessing his longing for a deeper connection, and requesting that she address him by his name. Neffy asked for the collar that symbolized their initial bond to be placed around her neck once more, to which Zagan agreed. As rumors spread throughout town of the new archdemon, Lady Chastile bravely confronted the church, declaring Zagan's innocence. Despite this, the church's father accused Zagan of being their enemy once more and punished Lady Chastile by stripping her of her position. Zagan had been studying hard to figure out why the demon had bowed to him. Neffy tried to surprise Zagan to cheer him up, but he knew what she was up to, which made things a bit awkward between them. She told him lunch was ready, and they ate together. While they were eating, Zagan felt someone near the castle. A monster attacked him, but he quickly knocked it out. They realized it was a young girl. They carried her to bed, and when she woke up, Zagan realized she was a dragon. Zagan decided to teach the girl a lesson by making her help Neffy with chores for a week. Worried about being eaten, the girl asked Zagan if his plan was to eat her because some people believe eating a dragon can make you stronger. Zagan explained he had no intention of eating her. Later, Zagan asked Neffy to bring some leftover food for the girl. Seeing the girl enjoy the soup made both Zagan and Neffy smile. Zagan then excused himself and left Neffy and the girl to go to the library. Zagan kept a close eye on them to ensure everything stayed safe. Valifor, the young dragon girl, and Neffy worked on chores together. When Valifor informed Zagan that dinner was ready, she teased him that turning his back on her was an invitation for her to attack, but he just smiled and wished her luck. Zagan gently reminded Valifor that she was still just a kid and patted her head. Later, as Valifor slept peacefully, Zagan noticed she was holding a spoon. He gently took it from her hand, but she held onto his hand and called him Father, asking him not to leave her. This heartfelt moment made Neffy smile and comment that it felt like they now had their own child. They both blushed with shyness. Feeling moved, Zagan held Neffy's hand tenderly. Zagan and Neffy watched with delight as Valifor twirled around in admiration of her new outfit. expressing her gratitude. She took their hands. As they walked, they unexpectedly encountered Lady Chastille, who was taken aback by seeing them with what seemed like a grown child. Perplexed, Zagan asked for her identity as he didn't recognize her without her armor. Neffy quickly clarified that she was Lady Chastille. Soon after, church guards arrived and took Lady Chastille away. Zagan, Neffy, and Valifor went to the old castle. They walked into the castle and he held Neffy's hand when he noticed that she was nervous. Valifor found a special circle with unique patterns and excitedly showed it to Zagan. He and Neffy praised her and patted her head gently. Valifor activated the circle and Zagan turned his attention to Neffy, showing his appreciation by patting her head too. Valifor then told them that the door was open. They entered Marchiosis' library and started looking for books about demons and archdemons' quests. Valifor suggested to Zagan that he should learn to read minds to understand what Neffy was hinting at instead of guessing. She then hugged Zagan and told him that she wants to stay with him. Valifor found a book about the 12 secret swords. The archdemon snatched it from her hand to look for more information. Chastille met the lord of the angelic knights, Raphael. He praised her and asked her about the number of sorcerers she had slayed with her blade. She disrespected him and gave him no answer. The father of the church returned the blade to Chastille. Barbatos was teasing Zagan about Valifor while they were sitting at a pub. Zagan was about to leave, but Barbatos insisted that he stayed for longer. Zagan did his best to protect Valifor's identity, so he said he adopted the little girl instead. Barbatos informed Zagan that Raphael is back, and that he apparently consumed the flesh of a dragon. Barbatos wanted to make up for the incident of the cave, yet Zagan brushed him off. Raphael entered the pub and approached them. Everyone around was scared except for Zagan, who was unbothered. Raphael and Zagan sat down together and talked about Chastille and that her stubbornness is threatening the church's foundation and that it will cause them to dispose of her. Zagan demanded for Barbatos to check in on Chastille. When Zagan went back home, he found that Neffy was still awake and Valifor sleeping on her lap. She explained to Zagan that Valifor helped carry Marchiosis' books to the library. This impressed Zagan. He patted the child's head. Zagan and Neffy spoke about their future together, gazing deeply into each other's eyes. Zagan gently placed his hand on Neffy's cheek and leaned in close, almost kissing her, savoring their intimate moment. However, their tranquility was shattered by Barbatos, who arrived with bad news. He held Chastille in his arms, claiming she had been poisoned. Valifor, enraged upon seeing Chastille, attempted to attack her, but Zagan intervened, asserting that Chastille was his guest. Valifor argued that the angelic knight had killed her father with the same sword Chastille carried, but Zagan defended Chastille. He empathized with Valifor's desire for revenge and advised her not to rush, promising to teach her the art of vengeance. Valifor agreed, bringing a smile to Zagan's face. When Chastille regained consciousness, she found Zagan sitting nearby. He informed her that Neffy had saved her from the poison. Chastille recalled receiving a letter from someone in the church seeking reconciliation, although she couldn't recall their face, but remembered being instructed to find someone named Orubas. She took a sip of coffee and promptly passed out. Zagan prepared to leave, but Chastille stopped him and asked him to stay a bit longer. He declined, suggesting that Neffy could assist her instead. Nonetheless, he pulled up a chair and sat down, reading, remarking it wouldn't be fair to wake Neffy up. Chastille found herself dressed in a maid outfit and was instructed to pitch in with the tasks, despite her objections. She attempted to approach Valifor for a conversation, but the young girl was disrespectful towards her. Suddenly, a scream pierced the air. It was Chastille. Valifor had been throwing frogs at her. Later, Chastille and Neffy were taking a bath together, during which Neffy apologized for Valifor's mischievous behavior. Zagan set some ground rules for Valifor and reassured her that she was most welcome to stay with him and Neffy, emphasizing their support for her. In the middle of the night, Neffy anxiously approached Zagan, expressing concern as she could not find Valifor. Valifor returned to the old underground castle and faced Raphael, remembering he had killed her father and fed on his flesh. They were about to fight when Zagan stepped in, blocking the attack aimed at her. He brought Barbatos with him and comforted Valifor by patting her head as she cried. Zagan warned Raphael not to harm his daughter, which Raphael saw as a challenge. The power of Raphael's blade broke Zagan's sorcery. Zagan reminded Valifor of their plan to teach her vengeance and fought Raphael using his heaven scale. Raphael simply couldn't defeat Zagan. Although Zagan beat Raphael and taught him a lesson, Raphael survived, confusing Zagan. Chastil asked Nephi where Zagan was and decided to rescue them. Nephi and Chastil admitted they envied each other, hugged, and comforted one another. Valifor confronted Raphael for killing her legendary dragon father, Oribas, shocking everyone. Raphael tried to attack her, but Zagan saved her. Then Valifor created a sorcery circle and attacked Raphael. Chastil arrived and confronted Raphael, asking if he had sent her the letter. Zagan sensed something approaching, and another demon was summoned, absorbing power from its surroundings. Valifor explained it was the gatekeeper. Zagan tried to command the demon to leave, but it ignored him and attacked. Everyone was surprised when Raphael shielded Valifor from the attack. Zagan defeated the demon and asked Raphael why he did what he did, but Raphael refused to tell the truth. The leader of the angelic knights faced Valifor and asked her directly if she truly thought he was responsible for her father's death. He reasoned that a mighty dragon like Oribas would be difficult to defeat by someone of his stature. She accused him of lying, but he clarified that he had sought Oribas's help that day to vanquish a powerful demon that posed a threat. He added that those demons would soon return. Zagan confirmed this and shared his own experience with a demon. Raphael reassured the child that she should take pride because her father hadn't been defeated easily. He fought fiercely, and it cost him his life. He told her that if it would make her feel better to kill him, then he was prepared for that. He explained that Oribas urged him to live on, and that due to the grief he had fed on his flesh. Barbatos brought up his brutal past, which led Raphael to explain why he could not accept reconciliation between sorcerers and the church, noting that Lady Chastil was more capable in this regard. Their discussion was interrupted by the demon's sudden movement. Chastil then asked Zagan if she could join him in fighting it. She infused her blade with flames and charged towards the demon, showcasing her impressive powers. Witnessing her bravery and skill, Zagan was deeply impressed. Valifor noticed Raphael collapsing and urgently called Zagan's attention to him. Everyone went home and Nephi was waiting for them at the gate, and Valifor ran toward Nephi and hugged her. The church guards asked the father of the church for forgiveness for not being able to locate Chastil. Once they left, he broke down in anger because he wanted to have her dead. Raphael burst the door open. Upon seeing his injuries, the father poured poison in his hand and offered it to Raphael as a remedy. But Raphael cut his hand with the blade and then shoved his foot down his throat. The father prayed to be saved, but his calls were not answered. He got killed. Chastil, Zagan, and Nephi sat together in the cozy atmosphere of the castle, savoring the tea prepared by Valifor. The tension that had lingered between Valifor and Chastil melted away, replaced by a reconciliation that moved Chastil to tears. Lady Chastil's surprise peaked when Raphael unexpectedly appeared at the castle, looking remarkably healthy. He announced that he had been hired as Lord Zagan's personal battler, leaving his role as commander of the Angelic Knights at Valifor's request. Touched by Valifor's gesture of reconciliation, Chastil departed with a wave. Nephi, however, seemed distracted and turned her face away from Zagan. Sensing her unease, Zagan gently inquired if something was troubling her. She held onto his arm and quietly asked him to figure out what was on her mind. He apologized for leaving her alone the previous night. He wrapped his arms around her and pulled her close to him. Raphael placed his hand over Valifor's eyes. Valifor, Raphael, and Nephi prepared macarons. Nephi took one and fed Lord Zagan. Raphael and Valifor watched this affectionate interaction between Zagan and Nephi. Raphael quietly approached Nephi from behind, trying to cover her eyes to block her view of Zagan and Nephi's affectionate moment together. Raphael picked Valifor up and covered her eyes. Zagan reciprocated Nephi's gesture by feeding her a piece of macaron as well. When they turned around, Raphael and Valifor quickly pretended to be looking elsewhere. They all went to the market for groceries, grasping everybody's attention. Everybody loved Nephi. Nephi requested to stop at Mrs. Manuela's shop. They brought her macarons as well. Mrs. Manuela insisted that she dress Nephi. An old phonograph caught the attention of Zagan and his daughter, but Manuela informed them that it does not work. Zagan bought it from her so that he can have it fixed. Barbatos and Lady Chastille were waiting in the living room for Lord Zagan to return, and Raphael reassured them that he will be back soon. Everyone returned to the castle and greeted Lady Chastille. Zagan sat down with Barbatos and reminded him teasingly that he was not invited. Barbatos lashed out at Valifor and got smacked by Zagan, who warned him about not insulting his daughter again. The girls went to the kitchen to cook a dish together. As the archdemon was fixing the phonograph, Barbatos approached him and complained about Chastille giving him a hard time to sleep, since she is always in danger. Zagan offered him booze to calm him down. Lady Chastille gave Nephi a taste of the soup she was making, and Nephi ran away to hide the disgust expression on her face. Nephi excused Chastille out of the kitchen. They all reunited in the living room and enjoyed the music played of the phonograph. They sat down and enjoyed their meal. Barbatos teased Lady Chastille on not being able to cook. As the argument got heated, the phonograph broke down at the same time. Barbatos tasted some of the soup Chastille made and passed out on the table. Late at night, Nephi approached Lord Zagan and sat next to him. He played a song on the phonograph, and Nephi started singing, which caught him off guard. He asked her to dance with him, and she accepted. Raphael taught them how to dance since they did not know how to. The next day, the music was being played from a back alley, and everybody was dancing happily in the village. Zagan and Nephi danced together under the moonlight. And that's another awesome anime series done for today, guys. Now, please remember to like, subscribe, and comment. We read every single comment, and we try to reply to as many as possible. See you next time.